back to another Askari cast. My name is Rod Van Blake, author of the Ancient Illumination series and Yombani Chronicles. I'm joined once again by Andrea Rose Washington.
Hello.
She's the author of Adalithia and Lindell and Almond Tree's Magic, and we are also joined by Jordan Purnell Jackson.
Hey, everybody.
He is the artist and creator of Eve of Insurrection, Eve of Reclamation. He also did the graphic novels for Ancient Illumination, and he's the artist for the Jericho's Bane comic. And today we are getting into End of the Road on Netflix, starring Queen Latifah and Chris Bridges, aka Luda, in
What you
this.
say?
I don't know what to really call it. It's an action thriller film. I was like, this isn't really science fiction until I watched the film and kind of realized that black people don't act like this. There was nobody. So it technically is some type of.
This is fantasy.
This is fantasy.
It was fantasy. It was fantasy hard.
So spoiler alert for anybody that has not seen the film on Netflix. It also has, I'm probably going to butcher this name, Michaela Lee, Sean Dixon as Kelly and Cam respectively, Bo Bridges, who I think did an awesome job as the villain, and his wife Val was played by Frances Lee McCain. Uh, I liked it, but like I said, there was just so much about it that I was like, we don't rock like that, like at all. Interesting premise. We start out with this family that's having to move because the patriarch, the father of the family, has passed, and they can't afford to. Were they in California originally?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're living in a house in California. They have to give up the house and move. They're going to stay with the mother, Brenda, played by Queen Latifah. Uh, they're going to her mom's house, I believe, in Houston. So they're going to do this 3-day, half cross country road trip from California to Texas. And it was interesting, but like I said, black folks don't rock like that. Like I said, spoilers. What did you guys think? First of all, your initial impressions of this movie.
Okay, so initially, I thought watching this, we've seen this movie a lot with white people. We've seen family road trips that go bad. We've seen all of that. And I have to say, it is an interesting movie. There are parts where I felt like they could have left out the obvious racism and just stuck to the crime and horror, like the crime part of it and the suspense.
Yeah.
But it was an enjoyable movie. It was good. I think the only thing about it I didn't like was the obvious racism, and it was like, okay, can we have one thing that doesn't reflect back on race, please, in a fictional story? And then I also agree that black people don't do this. Like, there are rules.
Yeah.
there are unwritten rules that we like inherently know about our safety, things we do and don't do depending on where we are. And yeah, we'll get into it as we talk about it, because there's a couple things, and he talked to that daughter one-on-one, like, honey, there's certain things we do in flyover states, and there's a reason why we call them flyover states for black people. So there's some things we need to talk about. Stupidity. There's so much stupidity in this movie.
A lot of dumb decisions were made here. So like for me, I agree with everyone. Like, this was a fantasy movie. This is what black people don't do, and just it was a lot of like first of all, visually, it didn't make sense to me, like how vibrant the movie was. For the fact that it's even like very like it's a somber kind of vibe, because the dad dies. I'm like, why is this movie so colorful? It doesn't make sense. So that was off. That just didn't make sense. That was very fantastical, like very vibrant colored, very like when they're traveling, it's very like the oranges are saturated as the orange could be, like, or the greens and the reds or the purples in the final scene. Like, the lighting's crazy, but yeah, this movie was just it was okay for me. It was very okay. Like, it was very B level.
Yeah.
I didn't take Queen Latifah seriously. I didn't take Chris Bridges. Is that what we're calling? Is that Ludacris?
Yeah, Luda, I couldn't take him seriously.
I never take him seriously, so
Yeah.
I could accept that, but I was like, none of this is making sense. Why is this black woman like trying to save everybody? Isn't it like I get it? She's an EMT, but like no, like this isn't making any sense. It's not making sense here.
Yes.
Yeah. Chris was the most believable of them, though, because I can see when your janky uncle and then a bag of money is found, like he ain't gonna be able to let that go, like, and then be slick, like he ain't try and be slick the whole time, like, oh, what you mean? You're getting a little shifty right now. What you do? I ain't did nothing. What you talking about?
Now you got us in trouble. Like,
yeah,
I was like, of course, and like they played a lot of those tropes. Like she's kind of the savior, and he's kind of the goofy, bumbling uncle, and then I guess the boy is more of the timid one, and the young girl, she's more rebellious. So they play into those tropes, and I'm kind of wondering if the movie. Do you think the movie would have worked better had they like started it off in a more positive note? Like the movie felt like the traditional family road trip that was positive, and less like, and then it kind of goes into kind of the horror, the thriller.
It wasn't really horror. It was more
thriller.
It would have necessarily worked better had you come at it from a more positive angle. I think it would have worked better had you had the characters react the way
realistically
they're supposed to react in that situation. Like I already said, spoilers if you haven't watched, but when you get to the scene where they're at the hotel after the little racial incident, they finally
that was annoying.
They made it to Tucson, Arizona. They make it there, and you hear somebody fighting next door, and a gunshot goes off.
Boom!
And sister girl goes, "Hey, I think I should go over there because somebody needs help. Like, fool, you're gonna be the next one to need help. Call the police or don't, or just get in the tub, so you don't get hit by a stray bullet. You don't know what's going on." That was crazy to me.
They should have left that hotel. They should have literally got in the car. That's what all of us would have done. We'd have been like, all right, I'm calling the police and we driving off.
We out.
We out of here.
This would have been, I took a sleeping pill and slept through it. We were tired. I was driving all day. I was tired.
Oh, like my knee hurt. I'm not getting up to run. I'm just gonna lay here.
I took melatonin because I wanted a good night's sleep, and I'm a light sleeper. So I took some melatonin to make sure I got into that deep sleep. My kids snore. My brother, he snores too. So no one heard anything. I don't know what you're talking about. Nothing. Like Jordan, to your part about would the movie have worked better? I think I would have enjoyed it a bit more if it didn't have that racial incident.
The white guys in the truck.
Yeah.
That was annoying me. That scene annoyed me so much.
That made me angry. That literally, like, I was heated watching. I had to pause and like walk away and be like,
"See, I knew it.
Like, because that stuff happens, but at the same time, it's like for the daughter, we know when we like go through certain areas, if this is not populated and I don't see another person that looks like me, yes, I act a little bit differently to make sure I get back to where I get from point A to point B. And why are you giving middle fingers to some random white dudes in the middle of the highway that there's no one else around because you're off the main road? You're not staying anywhere that's populated. You don't know those people. And now we find out they had a gun, and now your mom's got to go out there and make some janky ass apology to save y'all lives, because we all know if they shot y'all, no one would find y'all, no one would care except your mama. So it's like, girl, I know you're in high school, but even in high school, I understood certain things you don't do in certain areas.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because you've been in this, you've been a city girl, you've been in California, you're not used to it. But
everybody's progressive.
Honey, your parents should have. Like my dad has told me plenty of times when we used to go on family road trips, you don't say nothing, you don't talk to no one, you be polite because you never know what's gonna happen. And it's like, honey, did your parents never give you that talk? Like, did they never tell you you don't mess with certain people in certain areas because you just don't know if you're gonna make it home?
Yeah. Not only that, but I can't see myself sitting in the passenger seat and letting my sister, my wife, my mother, my aunt, you, any friend of mine, any female, you're not about to get out and talk to these good old boys by yourself to try and diffuse some situation while I'm just sitting there?
But that also showed his character. Foolishness. But that also showed that was a part of his personality, that he's really a lot of back down. Yeah, but like, would you have backed down? Would you have stayed? And that's the thing.
No,
it's part of the like. My brothers wouldn't have backed down either.
No,
but it's part of his personality, as he's this guy who does a whole bunch of big talk. But when it comes down to it, you can sit there and be angry, but you didn't help. You made the situation you didn't help.
I took that more. I didn't take that more of a hit on his character. I took that more as she knows he's the ghetto one who's going to take it there.
Yeah.
And rather than risk him escalating things, how about you sit back and let me diffuse this situation? Because you know how you get. Reggie got the weed in his pocket. I thought maybe he had a gun or something.
Reggie, get
that's what I was thinking. He's like, no, I'm not going to let you handle it because we know how you handle things, and it don't always work out too good type of situation. But yeah, you're right. Either way, I wouldn't.
Yeah, but that's his character.
He could have.
Like I says, he would not. Like she, like even though we know she didn't believe a word that she said, she knew what she had to say to diffuse it. Her brother would not have understood. At certain points, you got to play the game to make it home.
Yeah,
I understand that logic for sure.
But it's like I know that my brothers could they wouldn't be happy about it, but I think they could semi play the game. They wouldn't have gone exactly what she did. But it's like, people who can diffuse the situation and not aggravate it more. I know I'm the person that aggravated more because he pissed me off. I'm just going to keep going. So it's like
somebody stop her.
Yeah. So it's like that character. It shows he doesn't have the character to understand when to stop.
Yeah.
Because he was ready to go out and start fighting, really.
But he still should have. I feel like literally her walking that far away from the car and then like having that conversation and was a no-go. Like he could have at least walked with her. He could have had some distance. Like he wasn't doing the right things a brother should do. Like I would. Yeah. I'm not letting my sister do that. Like, I mean, I'm the type of person to de-escalate a situation before getting violent. So I'm not like his character, but still you have to have some sort of support or protection because she was literally out there by herself.
Yeah.
And you being so far in that car was useless in case they actually shot her or did anything. So that was good. That was utterly frustrating. And just her groveling to those white guys was very annoying. I'm like, this is dumb. This is dumb.
Yeah.
Why is this happening?
Yeah, I like how they both yelled at her. Like, what did you do that for? Like why?
They should have ran him off the road. That would have been funny.
Oh, that would have been hilarious.
That would have been entertaining. That would have been real entertainment. Boom! Just run him over.
So yeah, those were the main qualms I had with the film. Is that it just much of it just wasn't believable, kind of taking me out of the story. I've kind of disengaged my mind at that point. I'm watching it for what it is, even though I did enjoy most of what I saw. But that part of it was like, no, this is believable. Black folks ain't moving like this. If they are, they ain't gonna be around for very long. But what do you think about the kids? How they acted?
The daughter needs to get her head. She's old enough to understand why they have to move. She may not like it.
Yeah.
She may not like it.
My life.
That's every trope of a kid in a movie. Like this. That's what I'm saying. They were playing some annoying trope. Whatever.
And she's also a daughter. And as a daughter, there are conversations you have with your mother that your mother doesn't always have with your brothers and with her sons. And I know for a fact, her mom would have confided in her. Like a black mom would have confided in her, like, hey, I need you to pull it together because stuff is going on. I need you to be strong. I need you to help me out. I've had that conversation with my mother plenty of times when I was a teenager. So you may not like the decision, but to sit there and blame this is all her fault. Honey, your father just passed away. Your mother, you went from a dual income to a single income, plus medical debt. You are old enough to understand that your mom doesn't want to move as much as you guys don't want to move. But what is she supposed to do? Let y'all be homeless in the city? You don't have to like it. You don't have to like it. She never said you had to like it, but you had to accept it. And she was old enough not to be bratty about it. The little boy, because of his age, he could be a little bit bratty about it because he may not get it. But the moment you hit like 15, 16, and she was at least 15, 16, she should have understood, I don't have to like this move, but I have to accept the fact that this isn't just like your mom was gambling away your life savings and this is all her fault. No, your dad got sick. You were in debt. You had to leave. There's no way you didn't know what was going on. Your mom may not have told you everything, but she probably would have had a little conversation. Was like, look, I can't afford to send you here because of X, Y, and Z. This is going on. Your father, come on now. I was like, little girl, that's not believable. As a Black daughter, that's not believable.
That's not believable.
Because
fantasy.
That's fantasy. Because you don't. No one said you had to like it, but you need to accept it and be on your mom's side. She's grieving too, honey. She's grieving too.
Yeah. This didn't really it kind of picked up more for me once things kind of go, and you kind of see that they do kind of lead you in. You know things are going to go off the rail already. They kind of hint at it. And then once it starts going off the rail and it picks up, it's a little more enjoyable. Because then it's like, okay, the characters don't have a choice now at a certain point in the film. And at that point, you just got to do what you got to do. All bets are off. And you're going, but they just walked right into everything. And you see, they walked right in. It's like, they're going to snatch the kid. They're walking around, they're going to this. I'm wondering why she's trying to play tourist after the events. Like, is you thinking it's going to get better the further you drive as you're going further and further out into like this wild, wild west like territory? Monica says she's a teenager in love and doesn't want to leave her boyfriend.
And that is all fine.
See,
that is all fine. No one thinks
that was believable.
But like at the same time, you're not blaming it on your mom like it was all her fault. You're allowed to have feelings about it. You're allowed to be upset about it, but you don't sit there and blame your mom because her life blew up just like yours did.
Yeah. Yeah. They kind of, after that was the weird thing for me too, in addition to them just doing what Black folks wouldn't normally do. And then we're going to stop at this like, OK Corral reenactment or what. When they go to this old West town, they're going to drive in, there's people with horses, and I'm like, come on now, just get to where you're going. No,
just get there.
You already got messed with by the rednecks.
I don't even know what was the point of stopping in that town. I don't even understand why they stopped there. Like I got when she got the money, she went to another. She went to another hotel and dropped it off, which was goofy. She did a piss poor job of finding the money. And then I'm like, but why separate the group? Why go to this other town? And that was just a lot of dumb pieces, and it felt like they were just.
I think at that point, remember, they had Cam. When she goes to drop the money at the hotel.
Oh yeah, and then they leave.
They had Cam because she's like, look, the money is there. Go get it.
Yeah.
And they're like, this ain't how this works. You don't set the rules. We do. You're going to take the money where we're going to
take something. So. We're leaving with something.
Yeah.
And I have to say, that was stupid on the bad guy's part. He could have just sent someone else. It never actually had to be him. Like we see that he had other people working for him. He could have just sent someone else to go check it out. And if they got caught by the police, guess what? You're the police. You could still get your money on the back end. Like that was your plan in the first time when you couldn't find the money. So in my point, this was the best way for no one to know for her to never know what you look like. I thought it was a great idea. It was like, look, it's in this room. The key's under the mat. I'm gone with my family. I want no parts of this. I'm so sorry. Here you go. And I would have kept driving.
Yeah. So that was the most logical thing she did in it.
And if I was the bad guy and I know that I can get away with it by hiring someone else, I would have sent someone else to go in there to get the money, bring it to me. Because obviously you have people in your network.
Yeah.
But what if she was lying?
Then you would know she's
like
lying.
The villain, because she's okay. So you would hire two separate teams to go get the money and one to watch her.
And someone to pick it up.
That would have made sense for a villain to do that. Yeah. So yeah, that was all goofy. Yeah. And then of course, the woman who is the cleaning lady, housekeeping, takes the money.
Yeah.
Which we all saw coming. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
great.
Hold on a second though. Before we get into that, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and get into that and another question I have for y'all. We'll be back in a second. Welcome back to the second half of the Askari cast. My name is Rod Van Blake, and I'm joined once again by Andrea Rose Washington.
Hello.
And Jordan Purnell Jackson.
Hey, everybody.
And we are continuing our talk on the end of the road with Queen Latifah and Ludacris, aka Chris Bridges, on Netflix. So, spoiler alert if you haven't watched that. I have to give that warning out. Quick question. Did y'all know the sheriff dude was Mr. Cross?
No, but I knew he was a bad guy.
I had a feeling he was too invested. He was way too invested. And
he was too nice.
Mm.
He was too nice to them.
And he was connected, like, all the way around. He knew, like, the highway patrol. He called the highway patrol. Like, the sheriff's department and the highway patrol usually don't intercommunicate that quickly. Like, I know who this car is on the road. Don't pursue her. Like, shouts out to the wife. Monica knew, like, off bat. She was like, oh, what if the sheriff's Mr. Cross? And I was like, that would be a cool twist. I'm not sure if that's what they're going. And sure enough, she was right. The captain was Mr. Cross all the time. Whole time it was Mr. Cross. It was the sheriff trying to chase me down to get that money. Yeah, I don't know if I would have revealed myself to them either. She said yes.
I definitely thought he was, like, paid off.
Okay, you thought he was just
but he wasn't exactly. Okay.
Yeah. I knew, I never trusted him, but I didn't think he was the ultimate bad guy.
Yeah. So yeah, to pick the trail of the story back up, we were talking about the meth head. I don't know if she was a meth head, but they have her looking all funny with, like, blue hair, jacked up teeth. The cleaning lady at the hotel sees her going to the hotel room. Of course, she goes right in there and gets the bag of money, so that when she goes back to retrieve the money, they've already got Cam, and Mr. Cross is holding Cam hostage to try and make her deliver the money to him, and she goes through this whole thing. Go ahead. You want to pick this one up, Andre?
First of all, when she broke a cardinal rule going back to the hotel, you split up already. You see what happened last time you split up? Your son, when he went to the bathroom by himself, was taken. Mm-hmm. Why did you leave them alone? Granted, yes, they were together, but you never split up.
That's what I was referring to earlier with the split up. That's exactly what I was referring to. Like, that was dumb too. I was like,
you don't split up from each other in these instances, especially when you're in an area that you're not familiar with. You're definitely the minority, and you have no help.
At the very least, they shouldn't go solo. Like,
yeah,
pride be damned, little kid. I ain't no little boy no more. Well, you still taking this chaperone. Uncle better go with him.
Like, you're not at home at a school basketball game where everyone, like, where your mom knows everyone in, like, the building, and you go to the bathroom by yourself that you've done a million times when you're at school. You are in a different state around people you don't know. First of all, mother, you know that people are after you and they're not happy with you. Why would you let your son go off by himself?
Yeah, at this point, we would be a little mad at mom.
Mom, you did this.
Yeah, you were saying how the mom should share information with the daughter. At this point, she can see the phone is ringing. Now mom's acting kind of fishy. She's not answering no questions. Just stay here with your uncle. I'll be right back. I'm hopping the car. And she's like, no, you got to tell me what's going on. I'm like, well, this is bad. They're splitting up a gate. They're doubling down on the split up. Mm-hmm. And of course, the sheriff is just collecting folks because he happens to know where they're gonna go. The rest out, the one restaurant in the area that they got to go to, he shows up. He tried to put on that Southern Dre. Hey, now how y'all doing? Y'all need me the sweetest iced tea you can give me with extra ice now.
He was too nice. he was way too nice. Like, nope, dude, you're trying to solve a murder, and why? No, you're playing an act. I can tell you're acting right now.
Yeah. Those are two of my favorite characters of the show. I gotta say, was him and the wife, because the wife is kind of crazy at the end.
Oh, they were the best part. Yeah. I can't wait for us to get to that.
They were hilarious. They were hilarious. But back to your part where you were talking about the maid, and when like Queen Latifah followed her, I feel like that entire scene could have been negated if she had just said from the beginning what's going on.
Also, there was another thing. I feel like she shouldn't have been telling verbally. Like, I feel like she was yelling on the phone, like her instructions and where the money was. And I'm like, how do you know that somebody's not behind the door or in another room listening to you? And I'm like, you could have literally put the money in the thing in a better spot. First of all, why'd you put it in the closet, not in like a floorboard, or like do something a little more creative, and then go in the car and tell them, hey, the money is here and it's in this room. Like, she just did a lot of dumb things, and oh my goodness. So when we follow her to, as Rod, it's like called the meth head, we see more meth heads. He's in this random colorful, what looks like a trailer park quarry with more meth heads.
On the grid type people.
Yeah, and I'm like
Mad Max before Mad Max.
Right, like what is happening? And then this ridiculous scene unfolds.
Which all could have been avoided if she had just told them in the beginning what it was for.
This was Mr. Cross's money.
My boy shows up with the lightning bolts under his eye. We got the Aryan Brotherhood
there.
Yeah,
he was going hard with that.
Now then she has to change. I was like, they're changing this into the damn Equalizer on NBC with Queen Latifah. She jumps up, starts fighting people. I'm like, come on now. Because she was handling everybody.
The funniest part was she hit dude with this flag and then put shotgun to the other guy's knee. I was dying laughing like, this is so terrible. This is not realistic.
It was a comedy at that point.
Yeah, it was.
They give credence to that. Like they mentioned it earlier because like, you know, they moved 27 times because her father was in the military. And so they like it like really quickly they explain all the things their father had taught them over his course. It happens very quickly, but there is when the daughter's in the car upset about moving, she's like, oh yeah, you know, I moved like 20 something times. The kid's like, I know because your father was in the military and you went from base to base. And then she's like, yeah, he taught us how to shoot, hunt, like take care of ourselves in the wilderness. So like it's like a real quick, like maybe a minute conversation between the daughter and the mother and the brothers. Like, oh yeah, I remember like dad did all that, taught us all that. And then so it's like sort of shows how she knows how to do some of the things she knows how to do.
Yeah,
but why not show that? But why not show that?
And also, military brat doesn't mean you've inherently inherited the skills of the father.
No,
he's fighting multiple people simultaneously. I can see her, if she, girl gets up and she's able to get down with her, okay, and then a couple more, okay. But she was wrecking the whole crew. This was literally, if you switch that scene out with the Equalizer, who Queen Latifah stars on, I mean, it's pretty much almost the same show right there. She's whooping everybody in there.
It's not believable.
I mean, it could be, too, in the sense of if her father trained her and like she just stopped doing it. It could be like, because I mean, have you met military brats? I mean, I know some whose fathers trained them. You know what I'm saying? But like from the child part of it, where like I've met people in college who are military brats and they have training of how to defend themselves and fight because they've been stationed overseas.
Yeah.
Like when their parents were there. And so it's not believable to where she does it every day, but if she trained enough when she was a kid, she knows how to do the rudimentary stuff. Because she really didn't do anything hand on hand. She really did stuff with stuff in her hands.
Base level self-defense, I guess.
Yeah.
But they could have showed us that. Like, I feel like they wasted. So, like, in the beginning where they do this, like, that flashback where she's kind of, like, reflecting on the home and, like, all their past memories, which is not really necessary in my opinion. It would have it would have made it more successful if we had received some type of flashback that shows that she is trained in some capacity rather than them telling us that she has, which is.
I wouldn't consider it trained like a professional trained, but trained like I took karate for a couple years. I know how to theoretically fight and all of that stuff. Do I do it every day? No. But when I practice and I have like one-on-one little sparring sessions, it comes back to me. So it's not like where it's like a thing where I do anymore, but I still remember how to do it if it comes up. Now, can I do it well? Who's to say? Not with this knee anymore. But like if she but it's like one of the things where like I know how to shoot a gun, and if you've been trained how to shoot a gun, you may not do it anymore, but you still have the knowledge to do so. Because she was like, she shot at me in the leg. Well, I was aiming for your, and so she really was aiming. It shows that she doesn't know how to aim anymore, but she still knows how to pull a trigger.
Yeah. It was just a bit much with the amount of people she was taking on. There is something to be said for practical applications, because I actually know people that were in the military that were technically trained and that I served with, and then on the weekends they would find out that no one's going to sit there and let you do what they've trained you to do. You have to actually do it.
Yeah.
And come back, after the weekend liberty is done, you got the shiner and your head is all nice. Like, hey, man, what happened to you? And he's like, nothing. Oh, you thought that line training and close combat course is going to work out in the real world, and they were just going to let you do it? It don't work like that.
I will say,
but I understand what you're saying, though.
I will say that's probably why she grabbed the gun, because she knew she couldn't do it. She couldn't keep it up.
She wasn't fighting hand-to-hand combat with
she was
when she knew that she only had one shot left, why that one shot in the air and then walk off? Like, I held
that gun until I was in the car and then dropped it.
Oh, see, that's what we always get in a movie. Yeah, she should have done that, but like, hey, back up.
It was interesting to see.
Andrea, were you saying that she should have mentioned Mr. Cross earlier? Because that could have ended the whole thing without all the problem being tied up.
Oh, what's this going on? Oh, I need this money for my son for Mr. Cross. Literally, that's all you had to say, because you saw how all of their faces changed immediately. And it was like, oh, dude, put the money in. Put the money in. We're so sorry.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell them about this,
right? Yeah, all of it right now.
Like, that's a trope in movies and books that I never understood. It was like, I know it sort of prolongs the action, but like if the main character has a time constraint, why hold on to the information until later? And everyone's like, oh, well, you should have said that earlier.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say it earlier?
You should have said that.
Honey, you have to get your kid who's kidnapped. Why would you ever hold any information back? Especially from these people who want to kill you just because of your skin color. I gotta get this money to Mr. Cross. She stole from Mr. Cross. This belongs to my... And then if it didn't work, it didn't work. But at least you tried something besides pleading with racists, because that never works.
Yeah. As my wife says, you should have led with that.
Yes. You never know. They could have given you an escort. Like, no one met this woman. She worked for Mr. Cross. Hey, don't touch this woman. I would have been like, oh yeah, and these two rednecks in this state, they were trying to steal this money from Mr. Cross and got those two boys who made her apologize.
Oh, that would have been great. That would have been great.
They
have the money. They have the money.
Damn. Yeah, after it goes kind of off the rails after she escapes them, I didn't understand why she was driving so fast with her phone in one hand on top of the steering wheel in a dusty desert road to slam into a tree. I'm like, what are you doing? I understand that there's a sense of urgency, but there's also common sense. Like, I didn't get that. You got the GPS and know how far you are away from wherever you're trying to get to. And she's just doing all types of crazy stuff and running the trees, and the car don't start now. Now she got to get out and walk.
But she's also coincidentally near Mr. Cross's house somehow.
Yeah.
But was she hitting there?
What'd you say?
Wasn't she
also, did they give her? Did he give her the address, the location?
Yeah.
After that goofy, oh my god, the photo was really funny.
It
just flashed in my mind. That was the stupidest thing in the world. That was a very funny photo. Ransom photo.
Them trapped in the basement.
Yeah, that didn't look believable. But yeah, so that was she was doing a lot of dumb stuff. But I'm glad it got better when they got to the house. That's when it got even better.
That was like the highlight of the film.
Yep.
I'm proud of that little boy. Proud of the little boy. I'm proud of the little boy. Pulled a gun. He's like, I said,
he didn't pull a trigger though.
Drop the knife.
That was so goofy. right,
Like
little
it was
kid.
mistaken or nothing. Those video games worked. They stilled up his nerve. He was ready to shoot.
Yeah, they end up getting locked in the basement, and they try and escape out. I'm
The
surprised they
dog.
didn't ask Unc, like, hey, how do you know? Because he was like, yeah, get the broomstick and wrap some salt around it and poke out the window. They're probably looking at their uncle like, how do you know all this breaking out stuff, to be quiet and all that? And of course, that was kind of predictable. You knew the dog was going to be sitting out there
Oh
waiting on
yeah.
you.
Of course.
I think at that point I was just like, okay, can we just please escape? Because it's now going borderline. You are making all the dumb decisions, all the Twitter threads of things we don't do in movies. You're doing them all. And you always, like, I don't know. It's just at that point when they were locked in the basement, I was just like, and you've done everything wrong. And Ludacris, this is all your fault. I hope you accept this. Accept that all this is your fault and you've done nothing to fix it.
And not to be hating on Queen Latifah, but Bo Bridges wasn't believable as a fighter either. I'm like,
but yeah,
he was swinging slow, looking slow, and I'm like, how did you even? Like, I don't even, after seeing him fight, I was like, I don't even believe him fighting the mercenary dude off that ran off with his money in the first place. Like, he the guy got
that part.
Oh yeah, he seemed like.
I never thought he would have been the one that went into the room. I would have figured he sent someone else.
Yeah.
To fight the dude.
They didn't reveal that till later.
He's a terrible villain.
Like, yeah, he is.
He's really a bad villain. Like, you have a voice recorder. You have that that device that modulates your voice, but you have your wife working with you, but you don't have anybody else to do your dirty work. Come on now, you don't have no henchmen.
His disguise was basically like dressing up as an OG bad person in a cowboy movie from like.
He was Westworld guy.
In the black hat, the black trench coat
from Westworld.
Black Bart. Black Bart came to town to get his money back. I was like, oh, this is but they were funny together though. Him and the wife when they got beat up and locked into the basement. He had to kick his way out.
Him kicking down that door was goofy. I'm like, how strong is this man?
She was going off with the meat cleaver at first.
They are the reason I believe in love. There's someone out there for everyone.
Hey, too crazy.
There's like, if you don't get your evil Martha Stewart looking at somebody.
That was funny. Keep moving. He told her, keep moving. Go down the step. Like, yo, this is the Chris Bridges I wanted. Thank you.
And then
he became a boy from Fast and the Furious then.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're stabbed by some scissors.
Oh my god, the stabbing. That was great. That was the funniest stab.
And then like you're very calmly fixing the car.
Makes no sense. Fantasy.
My one problem with that was why didn't he take the scissors with him?
Yeah. First of all, you said it's an EMT. She would have told you always leave it in.
Yeah.
You never take it out.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but this dude's a corrupt cop. They both end up dead, and you're going to leave your blood and DNA. That obviously there was a struggle at the scene in the house. In their house, like if the other police come by and see this cop and his wife were killed, we found some DNA and some blood on some scissors and a meat cleaver at the house that matches your DNA.
Which is why she.
And if he has anything in the system, they don't need him there to get it. It's in the system. It'll pop up, and now they have a warrant for your arrest wherever you go. Like for the murder of a cop. Like, oh no, man. Number one, you're right, Andrea. EMT should have told him not to take the projectile out if he knows her.
Yeah.
Keep the scissors, but I wouldn't have left them on property.
Yeah, no. You would have never left them.
And I think we're coming up to the finale of the movie, and Jordan's favorite part is the final chase scene where somehow they shoot the lock off the SUV out, and she's just shaking in the back. And of course, she somehow tumbles out of the car.
Andrea, when are you gonna cosplay as Queen Latifah's character? I'm waiting for this. I need you. I need a side by side photo of her. I need this. I need you to film a parody of this.
This is a PG-13-ish podcast, and I've already been cited for bad words before, so I'm just not going to answer that question that you just asked me.
Oh,
It's because I'm black.
like Queen Latifah.
That scene, that chase scene, that entire ending of that fight scene, I just don't. There's so many things wrong with that scene, and like I just need to know: did you go back for your suitcase? Did you go back for the stuff that fell out of your trunk? I hope you did, because that's stuff that can all lead to you.
They had to have, because like I said, spoilers again. How did old boy pick up any of the money that we saw the bag in the car when it blows up? That was a whole comical thing when old boy crashes the car and then accidentally
which I'm still trying to figure out. Did he reach? Queen Latifah throwing that flare was ridiculous, but did he accidentally like reach down and like flick his hand on the trigger, which was the best part? Bloom.
Yeah, blew her dome
wife's
straight
dead.
off.
Her hands start moving left. The car veers off to a nice tree.
Yeah, and then because they put the windshield out, he flies straight out of the car into the tree. I was like, oh, this
that
is
puppet dummy. That puppet dummy was amazing. That was terrible. That was terrible.
That last sequence was some damn near Three Stooges level slapstick comedy right there. But gorier, obviously. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. What would you guys rate this one out of 10?
Oh,
really fighting.
5.5, 6.
Yeah, I'm at about a 5 for me. Like that wasn't actually horrible. There was just too much unbelievable stuff in there for me to take it very seriously. And after a while, it's just like, oh, this is just some BS that we're watching. When it gets to the 5.
It was a 5 at first, but I kept laughing at stuff and like, you know what? Let's give it a 6. I forgot how funny that ending was.
I'm gonna bump it up to like a 6.5 so Jordan, earlier you said you didn't like the lighting. I loved the lighting of this. I hated
the purple lighting. It was so dumb.
But I love the fact that it showcased our skin color so beautiful. The orange hues, the purples, the blues, the greens. I loved the lighting in this movie. I felt like it was great for our skin tone. And I like that in movies that sometimes feature Black people, the lighting's always it's always lighted for the white person or the brighter person.
I understand.
And this one was set for us, for our skin color. And so I love that every time that there was lighting for every time there was a dark scene, every time something was reflective, I could still see the Black person just as clearly as I needed to. So I'll say the technical side of it, I appreciate that you accentuated us nice and pretty and vibrant. But for all the dumb decisions that you don't leave the hotel room, you don't sleep in a motel on the side of the road. You don't
called Sunset, by the way.
You don't do that. It's a detour. Okay, let me find another detour that keeps me somewhat on the main road.
But in the desert out there, it may not be available.
But would you stay at a hotel called Sunset? Like, I felt like that was a reference to sundown towns. Like, I don't know if anybody caught that. I was like,
the dude at the gas station tried to let her know, you planning on staying?
Right. I'm like, this is sundown town vibes. I'm like, and the hotel's called Sunset. This is all a trap. Let's get out of here. Let's keep driving.
And honestly, in that sort of sense, it would have been where, okay, the brother slept all day. He can drive all night. Like, there's certain reasons why I call certain states flyover states, because like I will never stop in those states. I don't need to ever sleep in those states or certain parts of it. So it's like, if that's the case, just drive. I remember my family, we had to go to Mississippi, and you know what we did? We never stopped. They never stopped. They switched off drivers because they never stayed overnight anywhere, because it's like, we don't know where it's safe. We're just gonna keep on going. Yeah. So it's like, Why, honey? Especially after that altercation with those two white boys, I would have never stopped until I was like, you know, we're just gonna make it to Houston. It's a day and a half. It's a 3-day drive, but we're gonna make it a day and a half because we're just never gonna stop.
Didn't the daughter say we should keep driving?
Yep.
No, she's thinking it was going to be like a 3-day trip with like a couple stops. So she wasn't going to make it a straight.
Oh, she wasn't going to be a straight trip.
Thank you all once again for talking these things over with me and chopping it up. Thank you, Monique, for checking on the live and commenting. She said, I thought it was the sheriff or someone in the police department because the mother received a call about the money very quickly after leaving the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was
so
doing stuff a little too quick from the very beginning of the film, which was kind of hinting at him. Go ahead.
No, finish your statement first. I was gonna say I had a question before you wrapped up.
Yeah, he was on stuff a little too quick when old boy was like, he was pissed because he let the witness go. Like, what? Mm-hmm. I just missed him? So you knew he was on it.
Yeah. Can we just all agree this was the brother's fault?
Oh,
very much so.
Yeah, yes, it was.
He didn't solve any of it. He didn't.
Yeah.
And at the
very
end,
had he left the money, movie would have been over after they left the hotel. Had he just left the money in the hotel, and there's no trace, no nothing.
At that point, when the person, and I feel like he just kept making every dumb decision he could make while saying, "This is why no one in the family respects me." I just have to say that, dude, because you keep making the dumb decisions. So I just have to say that. I'm sorry.
Yes. No, you don't have to apologize. I mean, I thought it goes without saying he was the reason why they were in this dumb situation.
Every decision afterwards was a selfish decision.
Yeah, basically.
Not the time.
Thank everybody for tuning in on the lives. Don't forget to check us out on Anchor, as well as Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Overcast, Radiocast, and a bunch of other places where you catch podcasts. Also, don't forget to check out Trek and Beyond,
a Star Trek podcast. We're about to go back to Discovery, so discover Discovery with us.
There you go. And Andrea Rose Washington and Monica Pinkett. And we will talk to you all next week. I think we're taking a couple weeks breaks, right?
Yes, next week off.
Okay. So we will see you when we see you.
Peace.